And thanks for hanging out with us a little bit later. This is Russell and Hunters. In other news, Rob is on a call. So Rob will jump off that call here shortly, and he'll jump on in, and then we'll be we'll hang out and get going. But I want to cover something right out of the gates that yesterday was something I said that I got a few comments on, and I'm actually standing by it until today. There was a part of me, as I think the human part of me, and believe it or not, I am human, that there is, I did not mean that to sound like I have superpowers. I just being, kind of a Neanderthal that I am. I said I'm actually feeling sorry for Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris wasn't, what's up, Greg? Um, Kamala Harris was she is the vice president of the United States of America. If after the world sees that Joe Biden finally has to, they are forced to admit the liberal side that was in denial about this, was the media that was in denial about this, was complicit in this denial or this facade that Joe Biden was competent, and now we know he's incompetent, incapable of doing darn near anything, even stepping down a 4-inch step. Kamal's like, I'm the vice president. Let's go. Let's move things forward here. I can take over. In Kamal's mind, no one's mentioning her. No one's even speaking of her. Why would anybody speak of her? She's as incompetent. She just doesn't have any mental faculty decline to blame it on. She slept her way to the top in California, and she had 2 good showings during the not good showings, but if you're a liberal, good showings in the Kavanaugh trial, hearing, and a couple of other hearings where she was just that bulldog prosecuting attorney, made a big name for herself, was going nowhere, running for president, and so she was toast. Now, she was going absolutely nowhere. 100%. Welcome to the program, Rob Hunter. She was going absolutely nowhere. And then she was tapped to be vice president purely because of her gender and the color of her skin. This changed my mind in that. She has no other qualification to be the vice president of the United States. Yet she said, look, here's how it works, guys. The president isn't fit. I'm supposed to take over, not one person mentioning her name. And I felt bad about that for her until I saw this. And I'm like, okay, well, then we're just bleeping done. You know what her team's doing now? I bet you, Rob, you can guess what she's doing now.
Listening to Biggie and Tupac while smoking weed.
While smoking a J. No, she pulled the race card. Kamala Harris's team now worried the Democrats will replace Joe Biden with a white candidate, saying this will infuriate black voters, and she is not being considered, which is already riling up the black base for the Democrat Party. Put it back in the deck, sister. No one likes you.
Women have egos too. Let's keep that in mind, because that's really what I see out of politics, Mike. Eddie, Nancy, Rhonda, Greg, how you guys doing? I see ego. I see hubris. I see insecurity behind all that ego, because Kamala Harris should very well know no one likes her, and she's not electable because she hasn't done a good job. But see, this is this trophy society, Mike, that even extends to politics, that I deserve this because I'm here. No, you deserve it when people vote for you to give you the honor of becoming president of the United States, not simply because you're trying to create a narrative that the Democratic Party, you've realized, actually is racist and has used race as a tool to get votes. That's why, Kamala, you are the vice president, so that Joe Biden could pretend to be diverse, while both of y'all put more black people in jail than just about every other Republican out there.
True, but as we have the order of things, as how we work here in this representative republic that we live in, is she's get the old man out. I'm the one here who's standing here. I'm the one ready to go. Should it be on everybody's lips that understands civics in any way, shape, fashion, or form, that we're going to do the 25th Amendment thing with this bozo, and then I'm taking over? Not you're going to plant somebody at the convention. I'm the one that should be considered. So her desperation goes to the one card she knows she can always play. At least she didn't play the misogyny card. Maybe she's holding that one in the deck, but she pulled out the race card as fast as she could. That's this with a quickness.
And with the quickness, because that's her card. That's what she gets. She can't come out there and say, my performance card trumps my race card, because her race card trumps her performance card. And that's that sad reality. And I go back to Judge Jackson, if you're nasty. The latest
Justice Jackson, if you're nasty. That's right.
They led with the obvious. She's black and a woman. I can see that. What I don't know is what her qualifications are. What I don't know about Judge Jackson is what kind of cases she's ruled on, how she ruled on them. That's the qualification, not the obvious. And I think that this is that cold, hard realization, Mike, going back to this, that Kamala might be realizing that white, what do they call it? A power structure. What do the liberals call the white supremacy culture or whatever?
The patriarchy, the white patriarchy.
Yeah, the white patriarchy is alive and well in the Democrat Party, and always has been alive in the Democrat Party, even going back to LBJ, right? The civil rights movement. Did you know that many black people supported Nixon in 1960 when he was running against Kennedy? The Republican support for black voters was massive until the Kennedy administration started to invite Martin Luther King in, and then the Civil Rights Act was signed by Lyndon Baines Johnson after Kennedy was killed. And as we've said to you before on Russell and Hunter, he said, I'm going to have those blanks, full racial word.
Hard R.
Yep, hard R, voting Democrat for the next 60 years. Well, guess what? It's literally 60 years since the Civil Rights Act was passed. And I think people are starting to realize what the Democrat Party is really all about. It's really about suppressing people to keep them in the power structure as voters. That's it.
America will see this. Yeah, that's probably better said, right? America will see this, and America will be upset about this, because this is the way we govern. This is our system of governance, is that the vice president takes over when Bozo can't do it. So that's the thing. Not black voters will be upset. Black voters are upset when they go to the damn grocery store. Don't kid. Black voters are upset when they go to the gas station. Just like, guess what? White voters, Asian voters, brown voters, every kind of voter in the United States is pissed off right now. Not at, Uncle Joe didn't pick Kamala. The DNC didn't tap her on the shoulder and say, you're ready to go, sister, because you're not. You weren't ready to go when they tapped you. And by the way, guess who's running the Democrat Party? Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the only reason, and Hunter Biden, from what I understand, the reports out of Camp David, was he at Camp David this, or is he in Delaware?
Yeah,
anyway, it's in Camp David this weekend. The big family huddle up, right? The big family huddle up with, Annie Leibovitz was there?
Yeah, they had a photo shoot, a long scheduled photo shoot with Annie Leibovitz, one of the most famous photographers out there, like you do.
She's actually funny. She actually said that Annie Leibovitz said that she was part of the documentary team for 25 times 5. That's the Rolling Stones documentary on their 25th anniversary. She goes, touring with these guys made me a feminist. Anyway, I've always been a fan of Annie Leibovitz. Her work is silly. So she's an artist above artist. So anyway, so not knocking her there. She gets takes a few shots at the first lady. That's cool. In the Vogue magazine thing, the best thing I saw on online the last couple of days was that cover, and it just had captioned this. Brutal. Oh, the internet, you guys are champions, absolute champions. And now I forgot where the hell I was going with that. But the Kamala Harris thing, the racism. Where were we going, Robbie? The Kamala Harris, the racism. Oh yeah. So anyway, that's Joe Biden. Joe Biden over at Camp David over the weekend. He had his entire family saying, "Dad." I mean, even Ashley was there. After their shower, it was, "Dad, it's time to move on." And it's by the way, Snopes even cleared that that's real. It's time to move on. Not if you're Hunter Biden, because you're toast. If Hunter Biden, the minute Daddy's out of office, Hunter Biden, you are toast. And the second was Jill, because Jill's not ready to let go of the first lady position. She is not ready to let go of this power. I just keeps popping in my mind, her sitting in President Biden's desk with President Biden's jacket behind her on Air Force One with the binder preparing for the G7 conference.
Well, let's even just look at this from a constitutional lens. And the fact that the White House came out after the debate and said Joe is vigorously engaged from 10 to 4.
Yep.
That was an actual thing that they said.
Yeah, we got a 6-hour day.
Plus, there's a lunch in there. There's got to be a lunch in there somewhere, because that's prime lunchtime. So he's engaged from probably 10 to noon, and then from 1 to 4 after. And he might even sneak in a 30-minute nap after lunch. I don't know.
And I understand, I had a big plate of mess and nachos yesterday. After lunch, I was useless. I was absolutely useless. So he's, come on. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I bring that up because let's go back to the Constitution, because the real crisis of this is that if we have a president that works 4 hours a day, all kinds of things have to still get done without the president. Decisions are being made without the president. So who is making those decisions? And is that constitutional? Because it doesn't seem to be constitutional. So just take emotion out of this, whether you like Biden or not. And if this was a Republican president and it was acting this way, would you have the courage to say, yeah, all right, we need a change? Because this isn't about Democrats. This isn't about Republicans. This is about all of us. And I think that what is exposed here, in addition to what you're saying, is it doesn't seem that politicians understand you still have to govern all of America, whether they vote for you or not. And the Biden team and the Democrats have really no interest in governing you if you don't vote for them. And I think that that's the real tragedy of this, especially under the mask of Biden's not really there as president of the United States.
So this will be the third time, I think. Help me out, Robbie. This will probably be the third time that we were reminded, and this is, and I'm not saying recorded history, I'm saying like mass media history. We actually paid attention to things. So we had JFK, Ronald Reagan, and now Joe Biden, where we really give a rat's ass who the vice president is. Like, oh my God, that's important. Like, no one cares who the vice president is. Well, we should. We've had 2 examples, and now a third. We really need to pay attention to who the hell the vice president is. Because now, and this is Kamal's right if she's making a beef on this. If you guys are going to bounce him, I'm the first female president of the United States. But the DNC understands that when Kamala takes over, that is worse than having a brain dead president. And I'm not bashing her. She will do more damage than she did because she just doesn't have it. She can't deliver a message. Joe Biden today, or as yesterday when he did his speech, you see how orange he was with that fake tanner on? He was going he went full blown Trump. It was hilarious. He started talking like this. And so so he came out and he delivered a speech reading a teleprompter. And side of say it again, was this big fumble. Kamala can't do that. Kamala can't do that. So they understand that if Kamala takes over, they're just done in the next election. They're toast because they can't put Kamala up there. They can't get him in, put Kamala in there, and then run somebody else for president because there's no way in hell she would win. She wouldn't get – it would be a Ronald Reagan-esque landslide.
And it may be at this point. This is again, going back to pride. And I think there's a massive lesson for all of us as voters and as American citizens in this is we have put ourselves in a trap. And we often do when it comes to voting for president.
Dang it.
What?
Us and Admiral Akbar. Dang it, every time.
It's a trap. It's like a hunting trap, Mike. I feel like we're going to get stuck. We're going to reach in and we're going to get our hands stuck in this trap here. Because, again, this is what I can't understand about. I just want to switch it over to the other side for just a second. Because Trump reposted something on Truth Social calling for a military tribunals of people like Liz Cheney. What are you doing? Seriously? So on one hand, we have that, right? Why bother doing that? Because now I'm like, all right, we got the choice of a guy that wants to run military tribunals on people that don't like him. And we got the other guy who is still going to run as of this moment that clearly isn't up for this job, clearly isn't doing the job. Now, that's the trap. And because we have those 4 levels of pride, I think we talked about on Friday, Mike, you got Biden's pride for not stepping aside for him and Jill and whoever.
Jill Biden's pride more than him.
Well, and let's add that 5th element in there too.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely an idea from Jill Biden that she's paid her dues and she deserves this and doesn't want it to go away. So we'll call it the Biden family pride, right?
There you go, yeah.
You've got Trump's pride because he can't stop posting about stuff like military tribunals.
Yeah, just
stop it. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Then you've got the pride of the media that can't admit they screwed up, either during the pandemic or ever, or during the Biden administration, because now all of a sudden they're investigating. Where were you 3 years ago?
Yeah, right.
He wasn't up for this. Come on. Now you're just on the bandwagon.
Not bandwagon. They're saving face. So it goes back to pride. It does back your pride argument. But understand, the more I watch the journalist freak out of this whole thing is, A, they were complicit in the whole thing, and Now they're just going, oh, we have to act shocked like we've never seen this before. We need to look like we're really going to look into this thing because we thought he was at the top of his game after being 184 years old. We thought he was at the top of his game. No, you didn't. You knew this the entire time. All of this is an act because the world's finally saw it, and are more people that pay attention than we do, and they finally saw it, and they can't get around it. So now they have to act like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what would the Democrats do? We didn't know he was this bad. Exactly. Oh, it's tragic. And Van Jones crying like a little baby.
But that's that. I think they really thought they could contain it. And that's another part of that pride there. And then the fourth part of the pride is quite honestly us, because we're so prideful. We don't want to do anything different. And as Lynn points out on a Facebook comment, pride comes before the fall. Pride, if you're proud of yourself, that's a good thing. But when your pride goes too far, it becomes hubris. Hubris is that dangerous human element in our own lives, because that could cost you relationships. That could cost you a job. It could cost you a path forward. But as a country, it can cost us all those things. Like, that's the craziest part to me, is that we're not taking this to heart in rethinking what our power structure is really like in this country. That's the part to me that is a little bit wacky. Now, let's say, and I just want to pivot just a sec, because I had a conversation with some Trump voters on Saturday night, and it was really productive and good conversation. I said, okay, I think we can all acknowledge in this country, from progressive all the way to the biggest Trump supporter, the Department of Justice is out of control. They have way too much power.
100%.
So, and I would say this to conservatives. So while we were voting for candidates and agreeing with court decisions to give the DOJ more power because they went after criminals, drug dealers, whatever you want to call it, they now use that power against Trump. So the base of that is the power of the Department of Justice. It's not enough to just vote for Trump and expect the DOJ is going to be fixed. This is something that we as voters, as conversationalists, are going to have to continue to hold people accountable for, because it is out of whack. And it's not just going to get fixed because we fill in a bubble. It's filling in a bubble. It's holding them accountable. It's sending people home. It's trying to find new candidates to run, encouraging them to run, boosting their chances, putting up yard signs. Back to the basics, Mike. Get down to the ground level.
No, I'm down with the grassroots level. The problem is the grassroots level rarely has the $100 million that it takes to get someone to be elected senator. They have the $1 billion it takes to get someone elected president. So there's a little more issues there, but I do agree with what you're saying there. I actually heard this. I'm not ready for this to buck. We'll talk about a pivot. I heard a few rumblings about Mark Kelly, senator running for president. Mark Kelly. Okay. You look at the entire Democrat bench. I actually saw it and was thinking, yeah, they put him in, and he would do the same thing he did to become senater. Nothing. Just, I'm an astronaut. Look at me. And then they puppet his wife out there and they prayed, oh, look at, I'm such a devoted husband. And oh, shut it. Yeah. So they do the same thing, and it'd work a hell of a lot better than Biden, hell of a lot better than Kamala. There's no one else on the bench. No one else.
That's the other sad reality, isn't it, Mike? That they still think Biden's the best chance of winning. They don't think Newsom can win. They don't think Whitmer can win. They certainly don't think Kamala, the vice president, can win. They are convincing themselves that only Biden can beat Trump. And that's pride and hubris in and of itself.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So going into this, and I'm sorry we spent 18 minutes on that, because I was blown away that well, not blown away, but I didn't expect that one. I didn't see that one coming. That Kamal would just throw the race card out there so quickly, and it came. I mean, from a descendant of a slave owner, I don't. It's really weird throwing the race card out there. It's just me. Barack Hussein Obama is just he's pulling the strings on this one, and from what I'm reading is that from behind the scenes he's basically trying to get Joe gone. That tweet that he sent out was not in support of Joe becoming president again. It was not in support. And again, you can't hate Donald Trump. You look at the decline. Go watch. And Rob and I have played audio and video of this man for 6 years now, and 5 years now. And Joe Biden's decline from the minute that he said he was going to run for president has been quick. It has been noticeable. And to think that I'm just going to vote for Biden because Trump is bad orange man, you have to understand where Biden will be. Not just, I mean, we'll hope alive, but damn, he's not going to be able to walk a flight of steps. He's not going to be able to finish a sentence in a year. If you look at the decline, if you just go simply by the trajectory of his decline, you're like, that's still a trajectory, right? When you're going down. So yeah, right. So trajectory, not the vector. But the trajectory is quick, and it's scary, and you're voting for the vice president at that point, and that should be the Trump campaign. Now you are voting for Kamala Harris. A vote for Donald Trump, vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris for president,
and that might be the Democrats' best option because there's nothing you can do about it. So if they think Biden can win an electoral vote, get to the magic number of 270 on election day or 6 days after whenever the results come out.
Yeah, no joke. We're still receiving votes 5 days later. Yeah.
And they may just 25th Amendment him then, or he may just say, all right, Joe, here's the deal. You're going to win. And then on January 19th, you're going to step down, or January 20th, you're going to step down, and we're going to swear in Kamala. And then we're just going to support Kamala as best we can and hope that it's not an unmitigated disaster. But the challenge in that is 2028, because if Kamala is the president, there's no way she's going to all of a sudden figure out how to perform. So the Democrats might be shooting themselves in the foot, going back to Barack and him trying to say, well, there's Michelle over here who could do it. And then I could come back in the White House like the Clintons wanted to. And then I'm the first black president. She's the first female president. So, good for us.
So much. I'm being such a good boy. I'm being such a good boy right now. And I'm
you don't need thoughts.
Head thoughts. Head thoughts. I'm learning. Yeah. I'm learning. What do you mean I don't need to make those jokes? I can make jokes, but I'm telling you, I'm learning.
Yeah, but that's
all right.
A played out joke by now.
No. You didn't know what I had loaded up, kid. It's actually
that's even worse.
I got new. It's worse. It's a lot worse. Yeah, I got a bunch of new hot ones in there. But makes intern Beans laugh her butt off. It's funny. So anyway, let's get to the freak out du jour over the immunity. You would think, if you go by the liberal press, you would think that the ruling yesterday by the Supreme Court was Donald Trump. Like the Supreme Court said Donald John Trump has immunity to do everything that he wants. That's what they want you to believe, that they've just made Donald Trump king. Because Sotomayor, I believe in her dissent, was something like, is this akin to being king? Which is the dumbest thing I've heard. Come on, Sotomayor, be a little better than that, Justice. I think you're a lot better than that. But you should be a little more creative than that as well. It's like calling Hitler, just pull the Hitler card all the time. The freak out has been amazing. I want you to listen to let's start with this bozo. Here we
go. Theoretically, President Biden, acting within the scope of his official duties, could dispatch the military to take out the conservative justices on the court, and he'd be immune.
Does anyone see that as a threat or no? Does anyone see the Secret Service going, maybe we should stop by her office, maybe on the way out today, maybe on the way to lunch, whatever. Maybe we should ask her a few questions, because theoretically I can say anything. And that is absolutely absurd. But here's the deal. She is acting in her official capacity right now as a congresswoman. So, by the way, did you know congressmen and women senators in their official capacity hold the same immunity? That's why the Jan 6 guys are never going to get rung up. Donald Trump can try all he wants. They share the same immunity that he does. But again, they think you're stupid, and that's it.
Well, it's a scare tactic, right? Because this is desperation. So the Democrats feel that this is a gift to hide Biden's horrible performance at the debate. Because here's the deal. There's no way a president in any official act could just go assassinate an American citizen. There is no power ever levied in the United States that you could just kill someone and get away with it as a whatever, unless you're Barack Obama.
Barack did that. Okay, Barack killed a 16-year-old, for the love of grief. Come on.
Yes. But, there were terror ties to that. And the
Correct.
official explanation was that. So you'd have to somehow say that the Supreme Court is guilty of committing terrorist acts on the United States in order to drop a drone strike on them. And, so this is the clever spin. And even Biden's statement yesterday when he came out alluded to that Trump could assassinate a political rival and Trump is going to do this.
Because said the guy who's destroying his political rivals with the DOJ.
but it's all about the narrative, right? Like this is the seize of the narrative of the gift of this, because all the court said, any logical thinker, if you take your emotion out of it, is saying we don't know, because we have no idea of what's defined as an official act and an unofficial act. So it is up to other courts to determine whether what Trump did after the election, appointing fake electors, if that is an official act or an unofficial act. Now, of course, there were headlines that Trump says it's an official act. Of course, he's going to say it's an official act because he thinks that's the way he gets out of trouble. I have difficulty considering that to be an official act, but it's not up to me. It's up to a court.
But I also have it's not really hard for, I think, any legal mind to draw the line to backup electors. I really don't have that. And if President Trump at that time thought that's what he was actually doing, then that's within his scope. So I mean, there is a certain need, I would say, for all right, okay, cool. Barack, you got done with killing a 16-year-old American citizen without due process. Trump, you got away with XYZ. Biden, you got away with XYZ. Starting now, here are our rules. And in that, I think that's really the only way we can do it. And when Rob said going to the lower courts is important because we have to sort that all out. We have to flesh all of the what is official capacity, what does the word official mean, what does is mean, that whole thing. Go back to Clinton's. We have to make sure that we establish those rules. And I think as a society we move on. It's a good thing. It's a fantastic thing. Fine. Look, these past presidents slipped one past the goalie. They all got away with some shenanigans. They all got away with some crap. They all got away with something like the stupid elector thing that didn't mean anything because it never even happened. And it happened, but it didn't make anything, didn't move the needle. No crime was committed. So everybody just, okay, from here on out, here are the rules. This is what official means to a president. Here's what official means to a congressman or woman. Here's what official means to a senator. Everything else is outside the scope. Go from here. Just like, it's like social media. Same thing when Trump came along with social media. They're like, you can't do that. So we need to set a certain amount of rules, period.
Well, and look, ultimately it lies with us. Whether we want Trump for 4 more years or we don't. So the ultimate portion of this is, do the American people want to give the power of that back to Donald Trump or back to Joe Biden or whoever the Democrats want to be? And
neither of them have that neither of them have that ability. Neither of them have that power. It has been sent to the court from one of the 3 branches of government to lower courts to figure this thing out. So if everyone in the nation votes for Biden, he's not going to be able to sort that out. If everyone in the nation votes for Trump, he's not going to be able to figure that thing out.
So what I'm saying is we'll sort that out. Our vote at least indicates which one of these two or whoever it is in the Democrats' case want to be in power, knowing this.
Well, that's fine. But at the same time, I mean, it's that part of it, I think, is completely out of our hands when it comes to sorting it all out to what's official and what's not official. That's out of our hands. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
That's okay. But
what I mean is, knowing it's vague right now, in knowing the decisions that Trump made after November of 2020 up till now, knowing the decisions that Biden has made from January 20th, 2021 until now, which one do you want to be in power? Because I think that the allegations on both sides are very interesting because both sides allege the other side is violating the power. So let's just say that both sides did. Both sides took the extreme White House approach to executive power. Which one do you want to be president for the next 4 years?
And by the way, the Biden administration was the ones that brought this, made sure this got to the Supreme Court. They wanted to make sure he didn't have immunity. They thought their case was that hard. They were fine.
Well, and they are so desperate to take him out anyway because they're afraid of they're going to lose. So you can see the fear and the desperation come out in their statements. At least I can. When I saw Biden last night speaking about this, I'm like, all right, they bring Biden out. He actually doesn't look horrible. He delivers a coherent message. He looked orange, but he didn't stumble. He wasn't acting like he was 105. He acted like he was normal age.
Not a joke. I heard it works.
Trying to create a narrative, right? That you have to render Donald Trump a judgment. It's dangerous for him to be in power. Me? It's not dangerous because I fell asleep last night at 2:30 in the afternoon.
To watching my soap operas. Here's the deal, though. The thing from that speech yesterday that was important, that was, I think, wildly important. The man, they're not hiding it anymore. I mean, he was reading a teleprompter. That wasn't his thoughts. So those that are writing teleprompter, those that approve his speeches, and if it fits the narrative, or if it fits if it's on brand for Joe Biden, he said the words. Essentially, this didn't work. We tried to get him out before the election. We tried to destroy him before you had an opportunity, you the people, to vote yes or no for Donald Trump. Because no one's voting for Biden. They're voting yes or no for Donald Trump, even more so this time than last time. So he said in his speech, essentially, well, we tried everything we could. We threw everything we can at him to get him gone before you had an opportunity, you the people, to tell us if you wanted Donald Trump or not. That was very telling in his speech.
Well, and it shows how Washington works and how they react to news and how they try to create narratives. In the story about Biden, from at least the Biden team, is they want to showcase that he's not like he was at the debate all the time. So you can see the double narrative that's trying to be woven here as they try to protect themselves as we get closer to November. And I saw polling numbers, Mike, out of New Hampshire. Trump's actually leading in New Hampshire now by 2 points. So this could be, if the Democrats can't figure this out, to your point, Mike, a very big win for Donald Trump. Obviously, he's not going to win a state like New York or California, Washington, Oregon, but a state like New Hampshire, which typically votes Democrat, Michigan, right, that Trump won in 2016, there are many opportunities now for Trump to get to 270 because the Democrats showcased their real operation of Biden at the debate.
Biden's tweet team, his ex team, each of us is equal before the law. No one is above it, not even a president. With today's Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, there is now virtually no limits on what a president can do. Because we're that stupid. That's actually what they're announcing. That is new. That is a new dangerous precedent. And it's false what you just said. Everything there's a lie, except no one's above the law. But we know that's a law because we have a two-tier justice system. So yes, there are several people that are above the law. And just again, it's same with the Kamala race card. It's why do you guys have to go to Twitter? That's why I love social media. It's like it will out everyone. It will expose everybody for who they really are. And Kamala Harris is a race baiter, and Joe Biden just thinks we're absolute morons, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on.
And it's
or at least his staff doesn't.
It's just weird to think that, because Greg asked a question in here, meaning me, I think, my libertarian leanings, Rob Hunter's libertarian leanings, who would I like to be president? I honestly don't have an answer for you right now. I can't look at Washington and go, that's my guy. That's my woman. I just don't. I don't have that. I guess the thing that I wish Trump would do more of is take a page out of Reagan's book and talk about Morning in America, his version of it, because there's no optimism anywhere in American politics right now. Virtually none. Trump does it occasionally, but he doesn't do that part really well. He's more natural in the fight. And I think that's the part, to answer your question, Greg, that I'm missing is someone doesn't have a good idea of what the next American 30 years should look like. And no one is explaining that to me.
Because we don't, 30 years from now. That's why. I think you said exactly why it's never going to be said. 30 years from now is nobody cares about 30 years from now. No one does. Everybody cares about right now, this moment, right now. No, this moment, right now. We want to know what's going on 30. We don't care about 30. What's going to happen now? What Janet Jackson said it best. What have you done for me lately? That's it. Do you want to know right now? I want to know what's going to change next year. I want to know if my gas price is down to. I really don't. Morning in America, what in America will look like 30 years from now is a lot like the climate change stuff. Like, we need to, Jeff, we don't do this. It's 30 years from now. Like, 30 years from now, I don't get rat's ass. What do I need to do now? What's going to happen now? It's hot outside. And so I think that the immediacy is what more needs to be focused on if somebody wants to win the presidency of the United States of America.
And maybe that's true, but I think that is detrimental to all of us. If that's the way that we're going to think that politics continues to solve problems. So I would ask that. When was the last time a politician solved your problem for you? When was the last time a president solved your problem for you? I understand we have high gas prices, high grocery prices. I just don't see an easy way for those prices to go down, regardless of the policy. And it depends on how the government is made up. So it's very strange time to live, because maybe there isn't any optimism right now. Maybe that's part of the problem, is the social media sphere and the immediacy of that, and the dopamine hits and the chemical reactions we get inside of our bodies from all of this is forcing us into thinking only short term. And there's a lot of pain short term, right? I rarely go out to eat now. My salary has changed in this entrepreneurial life. I don't have disposable income, so I have to watch all my spending. So every time I do go to the grocery store, I have to think about what I'm going to buy. Every time I fill up my gas tank, I have to think about, okay, how am I going to use this gas because it's more expensive? So I understand all that, but I'm in the solving this problem for myself and adjusting my life to this reality without trying to wait for some white horsed savior to come in and save the day for me.
We already have a white hooded dude in the White House right now. I didn't have to go with that. Yeah. Yeah.
He's definitely closer to that than
very much so. I always love the fact, and this isn't kissing Trump's boots, but I always laugh at the man's a racist. The man's a he's so racist. He isn't that man literally has given incomes, livelihoods, benefits, retirement packages to more non-white people than any of the power structure in DC combined. Oh yeah, he's the racist one. Really? What laws did he have that hurt black and brown people? Oh no, all the people that are currently in office did. Yeah, oh yeah, they had that. Wait, what did Donald Trump do? Oh, he gave them all jobs before he was even a politician. All of them got jobs. Everybody gets jobs. You think about his industries and the percentage of non-white people in his industries, in his business. It's staggering how much he has contributed to the advancement of Hispanic communities and black communities. Period. You can't argue it. So, he's racist. I'm like, he's racist. That would my tuchus. He's racist.
But again, this is the way that narrative works, right?
Yeah.
This is the way to go back to the Democrats and Biden coming out about the Supreme Court decision that isn't really clear about what's official and what's unofficial because the Supreme Court's saying that's not our job. That's just the facts, ma'am, as Sergeant Friday would say in Dragnet, just the facts. But we don't like facts. We like emotions, and we like to react emotionally. And if we hear a narrative that Donald Trump is racist and we get emotionally attached to that, we're going to believe that no matter what. And this is the big challenge, I think, going forward is facts literally don't matter. You can cite all your facts in your world. It doesn't change someone's feelings. It doesn't change someone's mind. And that's kind of tragic. But how do you dispel that? Well, if you're Donald Trump, do what you've been doing. You show up to the Bronx. You show up to Detroit. You have conversations in front of audiences that you don't typically have conversations in front of.
Massive audiences.
Exactly right. Because many people are starting to realize the facade that the Democrats really are. To your point, Mike, if you looked at a race record, and if you looked at Joe Biden's race record and his crime bills, because power always goes after the weak, typically. Now, they're going after Trump now, but the whole reason the government's power structure exists is because the DOJ decided that they were going to go after, in modern times, lower income neighborhoods and weed out the drug dealers. Well, drug usage rates are the exact same that they were in 1971 when the war on drugs began. By the way, started under Nixon. Why did Nixon do it? He needed a domestic win because Vietnam sucked. So the policy was put in place, the war on drugs policy that didn't work, to try to galvanize the American people to thinking that Richard Nixon was going to do something about domestic problems like drug violence in America. And it was all a facade, yet that facade became real to the point now where we see it. And most of that was done by both parties, right, along the way. So the reality of the racism and the structure was brought forth by the very people we keep sending back to Washington, including the guy that's now in the White House, including his vice president, Kamala Harris, who made her entire career putting black people in jail.
And sleeping with one very powerful one.
Sleeping with a black guy who's powerful and putting black people in jail. That's kind of
3 strikes, even if it's your first arrest. That's hilarious. That's true. That's if we're laughing, we'd be crying. I want to go back to the freak out because somebody got to check on Joy. Can somebody check on Joy Reid?
Oh,
I don't know if Joy Reid's all right. I don't get this. So help me understand this. Here we go.
This election is no longer about the old guy that's in the White House now. Like, all the op-ed pages and the New York Times can run around and opine about, what Joe Biden should do. And, y'all have fun with that. Enjoy yourselves. intellectual thought leaders. I no longer care. Doesn't matter to me anymore.
Okay, someone check on Joy. Someone she ain't right, dude.
It's above me now. It's above me now.
Been above you the
There's
whole
a Waffle
time.
House next door.
Yeah, she's talking about a Waffle House next door, bro. Hold on.
Quit your job? You gonna go to the Waffle
There's
House?
a Best Western next door as well.
Best Western next door.
It's above me now. It's above Joe Biden now. Don't
The
care
hell
about
does
Joe
that mean?
Biden's
Why she got to bring Waffle House into this? Because I'm hungry. Don't start talking about Waffle House. I will leave this set right now.
age, infirmity, that he shuffle when he walk. I don't care. He
What
could
do you
be
care
seated
about?
for the
What's
rest
the point?
from now to election day and never get up off a chair. He could sit down. He could roll around in a wheelchair. He could be on a skateboard, seated.
What?
I don't care.
She lost her marbles.
Donald John Trump cannot be allowed back into the White House. Because if you combine that madman with this court, two of whose members are insurrectionists who one of whom flew an upside down
their
flag
wives
his
are.
home
They're insurrectionists.
and blamed it on his wife, who's also crazy. The other of whose wife literally was part of the insurrection. And they ruled in this. They put themselves in the Leonard Leo 6. They went ahead and ruled on this with no shame. You combine this court, two of whose members are going to immediately resign and put 30-year-olds in there, including probably the guy who wrote the opinion in the Beaters case, meaning that Beaters should be able to get machine guns, which, by the way, they have now arrogated to themselves the power to decide all federal rules.
Here we go.
Everything, whether you're
Now she's combining that. Now she's getting in the Chevron deference case. Look at this. She's just losing it.
plane that you fly in is safe, how much carbon can be in the atmosphere, how much filth can be in your water. They said agencies that have experts can't decide that. They will decide
That's
that.
not what they
so
said.
They are
Anyway, yeah, that's just that she ain't right. Something's off. Something just snapped in that woman. Just absolutely snapped. And when the Supreme Court gets two things right, but they aren't right in her eyes because they think it's going to, or at least give them the opportunity to say that Trump is some kind of king, that he's gonna take over as a ruler, as a dictator. They've all snapped. When we used to talk about Trump derangement syndrome, it used to just be, in my mind, the depth of that was, and how far subsurface that was, mean orange man bad. That's it. Like, oh, maybe that's Trump derangement syndrome. Like, y'all ain't even paying attention. You're just saying he's bad. Anything he does is bad. Whatever. Joy Reid is a wonderful example, and I'm seeing more and more and more and more and more of this, of true derangement because of one man. Again, out of 335 million Americans, one man lives in these people's heads rent-free and is destroying their brains like some sort of amoeba. I don't know if amoeba's dripping. Some sort of virus.
Well, and let's even go back to her point, because theoretically she's right. The president's going to be the president. All you do is vote. That's it. The policies have nothing to do with you. You're probably not going to get arrested because there's a new president. Your life's probably not going to change that much. Prices may go up, prices may go down. Then that's a change. But fundamentally, the way you live your life is not altered by who the president is. And that's something that we as Americans have to truly understand, that you have the power over your own life. A politician doesn't control it, doesn't change it, doesn't do anything about it. But to her, Joy Reid, the country's lost. But this is something that so many people on the right think.
But there's a Waffle House next door.
And I love it. And this is where we should go talk about the country's demise, over at the Waffle House.
Let's go hit the Waffle House.
Because I was talking to the Trump voters the other day, and some of them really believe the country's already lost. And obviously what Joy Reid is saying is the same thing, because I get it. From the Supreme Court standpoint, they've tarnished their own reputation with Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, being that involved in the Stop the Steal, and then Alito's wife putting up those flags. They're tarnishing their own reputation. And that's bothersome to me because, to your point, Mike, about being a Supreme Court apologist, that was supposed to be that one vestige that was above it all.
I think it's still.
I don't anymore. I have questions about it because
Why?
I don't like that Clarence Thomas takes trips with billionaires and the billionaire pays for it and he gets to go here and go there. It's just not a good look. I don't like that his wife was that involved in Stop the Steal. I don't like that Alito is saying the same things and doing some of the same things. I think it's a bad look for a court that is supposed to be neutral, because the narrative that keeps getting reinforced that is working is to expand the court. And every time something like this happens, that conversation continues. So that conversation expanding the court becomes more and more prominent, more and more popular, and it may happen. And it may fundamentally alter all the things that we do, all because you can't not go on a trip with a billionaire. You can't just say, you know what, I'm a Supreme Court justice. I'm going to pay my own way.
Hold on a second. There's only one way to fix that is Congress. You can pass it. You set the rules.
Well,
then set the rules. Then just like the lower courts are setting the rules for what's official and what's not. Set the damn rules.
But see,
there's no rule. There's no rule that your billionaire friend can't pay for a trip for you to go on. There's no rule.
I'm not saying there needs a rule. I'm saying there needs to be restraint. Going back to the Washington model, say no. So what? You're going to go on a yacht, rent your own yacht.
Sotomayor making money selling books in a very shady way. Same thing. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, then if they're all shady, set the rules. Don't pick on one side of the court or the other. Set the rules. Then it's a way straight across the board. Here are your rules. Here are your standard of ethics. This is what you all have to abide by, or you guys get reprimanded twice. You're gone. It's simple. Doesn't it seem that way?
No, it doesn't seem simple at all.
But I think
it's simple.
But I'll take this though. If I'm going to run somebody on their record, period, to run on the record. I haven't seen a decision where I'm like, that really shouldn't have been that way. You really dig into it and actually look at it, not believe into the media narrative of it. I think they're doing a bang-up job. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Do I agree with everything they do? No. But do I understand what they do? Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. Even the dissenters, I get it. I feel you on the dissent. I get what you're saying. But the fact of the matter is this system, this checks and balance system, has worked pretty damn well to this point. And I think the glue that holds that together is simply the Supreme Court.
Yes, but they have to stay glued together, is my point, because now the glue's getting looser because of these stories and these allegations, whether they're right or wrong, whether it's influenced the court decisions or not. You have another half of the country, millions of people that don't trust it. And now you have millions of people on our side that don't trust things. That's the real big issue here that isn't fixed by new ethics rules that Congress will never pass. Sure. The challenge that I see is the massive lack of trust that has permeated American society, that is basically divided in half, where, okay, this side doesn't trust, say, the Department of Justice and all the federal agencies. Now, the other side doesn't trust the Supreme Court, doesn't trust Trump, doesn't trust Republicans. This side doesn't trust Democrats. That's a bigger issue to solve than just the nuts and bolts of the law to me, because this is the American spirit. This is how we view America and how we feel about America, going back to my point about 30 years from now. 30 years from now may not matter to you, but it matters to Mike's kids. It matters to if they have kids. So it's all relevant. And if we're so focused on the now and tearing each other down, we're going to tear the whole thing down eventually.
Well, I agree with that, but I think if you put a gun to 100,000 Americans' head and ask what Ginny Thomas was up to, no one would know. No one. I don't think that's tearing apart the court. I really don't think that's tearing apart. It goes down to the decisions and the freakouts of those decisions. Joy Reid saying they're insurrectionists actually perked me up. I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? And I follow this stuff. I'm like, how can you draw in they're insurrectionists? I'm like, knock this crap off. And in this, I'm talking about Joy Reid, not you. So, but I don't believe that 2 or 3, even Sotomayor or anything like that. I don't think that any of their outside shenanigans has impacted their record at all. Their record's fine to me. I think that they literally are keeping this crap together. If not, we're kind of hosed. And their decision on the Chevron case was excellent. Might damn well has saved this country from over the entire government takeover. And she's starting to lose her shit about it. Going, I'm sorry, starting to lose her stuff about it. Going. Now that they don't want the FAA to have safe planes because they're the experts aren't going. That's not the damn ruling. For the love of grief.
No, but what I would advocate is for Sotomayor to not sell books in a shady way. For Clarence Thomas to stop saying yes to billionaires. You're already in enough scrutiny. Stop it. Alito, shut up. Just be quiet and just be a Supreme Court justice. End of story.
Get a hand on your woman, man.
That's what I mean.
I kid.
That's what the court need. America needs some leadership that doesn't appear to be doing stupid things in the background to try to bank on their positions and make more money, because that's what it all seems like to me, whether it's Sotomayor, right, going to events and forcing those events to buy 10,000 books, which is standard practice and how books get on bestseller lists, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all a facade. But that's the problem is no one actually says no. No one says, you know what, I could do this, but I'm not going to. Because even going back to Mike and I had a conversation with Congressman Schweikert in the Capitol about that. Washington walking away and how it set up this idea that American power would be given to people who don't use it all, like George Washington. Now, everyone wants every ounce of power and then some on our side as well. And it used to be something we rallied against, and that is where I'm out of agreement with so many people on our side. It's not about getting power, taking it, and using it against your enemies, even if they're horrible and terrible people. It's about righting the ship and reconstituting America to the Constitution that is important for today, tomorrow, and 30 years from now. Now that I'm off my soapbox, Mike, back to you.
Damn. Hold on. Do you need help? I'll grab Joe Biden. We'll help you get down that little 4-inch step there. No, buddy. I don't disagree with you at all. I really don't. Going back to it is fine. But again, I think it goes back to if you're going to stay on the Supreme Court, it goes. It just goes back to righting the ship. I'll just leave it at that because I could go on the soapbox as well. It is as far as righting the ship, but the ship can't be right. Like I've always said, you always do what you always done. You always get what you always got.
Exactly.
Period. Right. And that's just it. And I saw some comment of here. I'm sorry, guys, they're moving pretty quickly here about the 2-tier justice system. With the 2-tier justice system isn't 100% because we have bad actors. Because we have people that take somebody on a trip or something like that. That's not the major part of it. The major part of it comes down to money, because those in power with the money can squash anybody without in this justice system. That's the 2-tier, not because your last name is so and so and so and so and it matches up with so and so and so and so that's a politician. It's the power that comes with the money that you have to fight something in court is where the 2-tier justice system comes. Period. So a lot of people say, oh, we just got to get rid of this justice or this court person, or we need to get rid of all these liberal judges. That's not what it is. It literally comes down to how much money do you have and can you fight it in court? And if you can fight it in court, guess what? You're at the top tier of that justice system. If you can't, you're at the bottom part of that justice system.
I mean, look at OJ, right? OJ hired his big assembly team and they worked, and the prosecution team, namely Chris Darden, who did the glove thing, dumbest move of all. And Marsha Clark warned him not to do it. He did it anyways. So, that's what you're up against. And Mike's exactly right, which is exactly why the power structure always goes after lower income people typically, because you can't fight back. You got to hire a public defender, and public defenders primarily are overworked. At one point, there was a stat out of New Orleans. The average public defender spent 11 minutes on a case. How are you going to get justice with that? You can't. It's impossible.
Build the city for 5 hours, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a servant. I'm a civil servant. But the freak out is when you see freakouts this big, especially by the media, just look underneath it. Because if you look underneath this freak out, what you're going to do is find out that it is actually a challenge to two of these things were a challenge to the power structure. Those two rulings were a challenge to the power structure. So that freaks out the media. The second is if you really look under the hood when you see the media freak out, it's the covering for something else. And this is what they're covering for the debate. They don't want anyone talking about the debate. They want to make sure everybody's talking about the Supreme Court. They made Supreme Court. They've done a great job, starting with Schumer, I think, or at least Schumer got pushed the ball with a little bit more momentum to have this anti-Supreme Court narrative that's going on. And that was something easy to pull off the shelf when they were trying to hide the debate performance.
And that's the narrative, right? That's the job of a politician at the end of the day, is to warp and shape the stories the way that they want. So they run away from a story. Biden, horrible, not up for the job. They trot him out there at noon or whenever he went out there, prime time of the day for Biden, so he didn't screw up, had him deliver the statement, and then the other politicians and Joy Reid kind of pile on and add to the narrative even more.
Hold on a second. Keep talking, Rob. I just banned. Holy cow. I just hit a wrong button. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Holy crap. Hold on a second. No, you got to keep talking, dude. Holy mackerel. I just hit a wrong button and I banned one of our favorite people. Business USA has now been banned from comments, and the comments removed. Holy cow. I hit the wrong button. I don't know how to undo this stuff, buddy.
Oh, boy.
Figure this out. I got to figure this out.
We usually don't let Mike handle the tech.
Oh, I'm so sorry, my man. I'll come to you directly on our Facebook. I mean, our YouTube page, and I will make this right, my man. I absolutely promise. Campos comes to some destiny. Rob, to talk about something. I'm sorry, buddy. Holy crikey. What a moron I am.
Well, I have been
I
doing it on
totally,
the fly.
dude. I was actually trying to reply to him like kind of just one-on-one on something he said, and I just hit the wrong button. I just hit the wrong damn button.
Let's see if I can. So there. Oh yeah, because it doesn't give you. There's a little. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh. Can't post comments from some desk. Okay. We'll worry about
Okay,
that.
we'll figure it out. You'll be back. Holy mackerel. Yes.
By the way, my fault, not mine. It's his fault.
Okay, so yeah, Rhonda, do me a favor and let him know that's what happened. If he, I don't know if he's been barred from this whole thing. I have no idea. So just if you can let him know, because I know you chat with him on there. So if you let him know, help me out. We'll get him back in there. Hit the wrong button.
All right. So question for Greg.
Okay.
When you're trashing the Supreme Court, he writes on Facebook, publicly you have crossed the line to anti-Americanism. So does that mean I just crossed the line? I'm curious because, again, I have high standards and high ethics standards that I expect out of high office holders. And, if I'm Clarence Thomas and I become a narrative about the court and accepting gifts and all these things, I say no. I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's a point to that. And maybe I don't need to add to the distraction that's already happening in the United States. So I'm curious, Greg, as to where you want to go with that, because, am I being anti-American by expressing my views? Because again, what's the goal of the media and the Joy Reids and the Democrats? Win elections. That's it. It's the most important thing. So they will say, do whatever they need to do to win elections.
David? No, I'm not as dramatic as AOC. No, I can't believe I banned one of our people. Rob knows how much I love all you guys, and I know how much Rob loves all you guys. And it just to actually get that, and I don't know if it gives you a notification like you've been banned. Like what the? There's no way in the world that would have done. Yes. Mm-hmm. And no, I don't disagree. I'm not saying, y'all, by the way, I wasn't going against Rob and saying that I disagree that the Supreme Court needs to be held to a higher standard. I that's fine. Let's list out the damn standards. Let's list out especially in today's political environment where you can actually go and take down somebody socially on social media. You can destroy reputations in the media. You can destroy reputations like they do for any politician or Supreme Court justice that doesn't fit on their side. You need to be more cognizant of the look. Like Rob said, that's a bad look. You need to be more cognizant of that. You need to make sure that your wife is in tune and saying, I hold one of the highest offices in the entire land. I need you to just kind of, I don't know, just don't do that kind of stuff, please. Or just have a discussion. We need to ramp that down a little bit. I understand on the look, but I want to hold the Supreme Court to a higher standard. All I can do right now is hold them on their record until we have a list of standards that we can do something with.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that either, because I certainly think that these decisions lately are, pretty much spot on for the way the law works. But I think that's another detachment from reality that social media commenters have, is as if law and procedure don't work. For example, the Arizona abortion decision. That was just a legal decision that there's no other law here other than the one that we dropped into JFK there for you.
That was a correct decision. I heard that, but it was a correct decision. Yeah. Sorry. I almost missed your JFK because I had one loaded up right there. So sorry, pal.
Yeah, it's all good. But that's it, right? There's an absence of law means the law that exists is one that was passed in the 1860s. There's no other law that the Arizona legislature has ever passed on this issue. So you can get emotional about it all you want, and people certainly did, because, Greg, at the end of the day, that's it. It's all about winning an election. And it's the same on both sides all the time. And that's the reason why so many of us don't feel like we matter and haven't felt like we've mattered for a very long time, maybe except a short little window there.
And that the Roe case was the Dodd case, sorry, was a Democrat gift. It was the Supreme Court was dead right in doing what they did. Dead right in doing what they did. The Arizona Supreme Court was dead right in doing what they did. And I don't care what you think about abortion, not abortion. I'm telling you, both of those decisions were dead on. Perfect. And it was exposed the fault of the United States Congress and in the state House and Senate as well. Y'all ain't doing your job. You were reminded by your saint Ruth Bader Ginsburg to codify this. She told Obama twice, codify this, make this a law, damn it. It's on shaky legal grounds. And they never did. Never did. But it was a gift to them. It was a gift to the Democrats that it was actually given the right decision. That's my opinion.
Right, wrong, and different. And again, when you're debating people, facts aren't going to work.
Yeah. It's
Guys-
what I was the whole fact checking debate I had with my the liberal wing of my tribe was just wild. Oh, you know, like fact checkers because what? They use fact. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm like, fact to who?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, I always use this example because now Obama and Biden have both used this math. You double the deficit, and then you cut that doubling by 50% and say you cut the deficit in half.
Exactly.
No, technically that's right. Fact checkers will say, well, he did. No, he cut his increase of the deficit in half.
We like to fool ourselves.
Yeah, or like the we're going to take a Social Security is going to take a 7% cut. It's a 7% cut on a 10% increase. They're getting a 3% increase.
By the way, in about 8 years, it's going to be cut 25% if we don't do anything. So, I mean, you want to talk real cuts. I want to respond to Jim real quick. Okay. And I don't disagree with where Jim's going on YouTube. He writes, Supreme Court needs standards for the court, but also for personal life. Fine line that gets fuzzy. I don't disagree with that, but I look at the Supreme Court like I look at the president. It's a lifestyle. You're in it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you should act accordingly. Act like a Supreme Court justice would in the most ethical way possible. Do not bring any reasons to disturb or taint your legacy or what you're doing. And I have a personal line as to if I were a Supreme Court justice where I would draw it if I were the president. I have no idea why I thought about these things. But same thing with a talk show host, right? You have to have a certain understanding that in a public way, the things that I do could reflect upon that. So if I drove home and got a DUI, it might make the news and it might cause me to get fired. So it'd be wise to think about that. That's all.
We thought about that.
Yes, we did.
Well, we thought about it. Okay.
Yes.
By the grace of God, go.
By the grace of God.
I actually had something loaded up for. We'll save it for tomorrow. It's out of Oregon. It's what they're teaching their grade school kids about what's going to happen if we don't switch to electric vehicles and solar today. It's a cartoon too. For the elementary school kids. It is disturbing, and I have that loaded up for you. We're going to give that to you tomorrow, right out of the gates at noon. Sorry, my man. Didn't mean to block you. I'm going to go fix that problem right now, Ron. Thanks for helping me out. Appreciate you. Appreciate you giving me the directions there. I will see you tomorrow at noon, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for hanging.